And welcome back to Hardball. Political control of the Virginia House of Delegates is up in the air tonight. This after a tie-breaking draw was postponed. Now, the random draw was supposed to settle the race between Democratic candidate Shelly Simons and Republican incumbent David Yancey. Currently represents a district made up of parts of Newport News, Virginia. Today is just the latest twist in a dramatic recount that at one point showed Simons winning by a single vote. Now, the stakes here are high. A victory for Simons would shift Republicans' control of the 100-member House of Delegates to an even 50-50 split. That would force a power-sharing agreement between the parties. Democrats have already made historic gains in the Virginia State House. They've already flipped 15 Republican-held seats in the House of Delegates. At issue is this single ballot in which a voter selected both the Democrat and the Republican candidate. Originally, it was tossed. A three-judge panel allowed it to be counted, though, for Yancey because there was a cross in the bubble for Simons. Simons is asking the court to throw out that ballot, saying her opponent did not properly follow recount rules. The court is not set to hear the arguments today. If they do hear the case, which is unclear, they could do it later this week or even next week. For the latest on this, I'm joined by the Democratic candidate in this race, Shelly Simons. Shelly, thank you for taking a few minutes. So, well, look, the stakes here are high. You got a Democratic governor coming in. If you win this race, Democrats have a piece of that legislature, and they can move an agenda here. If you don't win this race, you could gridlock in Richmond. So those are the stakes. We put the ballot up on the screen. The Republican argument here, and the one that this three-judge panel accepted, is, okay, there's a cross-out of your name. There's a cross-out through the bubble. That's the voter saying, no, I didn't mean to fill that one in. Count the Republican. What do you say to that?
Oh, I think that ballot really should not be counted at all because there's no consistent pattern there. There's an X in a bubble. There's just a bubble. There's the slash. Some people say that's a check mark. So I really think it's a classic example of an overvote, which should not be counted.
So where does this go for you if this is counted? Because the initial ruling from these judges was that's it. That's a Republican vote. We got to tie. We got to have a random drawing. That's how this is going to be decided. If you're not able to get this ballot tossed, do you go to a random draw, or do you try to go find some ballots and say, hey, maybe you want to take a look at these too?
Well, I think the options right now before us include what we've already done, which is asking the judges to reconsider their decision. There are a lot of reasons for them to reconsider this. We feel the integrity of the entire recount system is at stake because what we're going to end up with is this downward spiral of challenging every single ballot up to judges. And, you know, I think the citizens in a recount should be the one deciding on these ballots through the recount process, not just giving everything over to the judges to decide.
Well, if you're successful, excuse me, if you're not successful, though, this goes to a random drawing. Are you ultimately satisfied that that would be a fair? I mean, I'm trying to think. It seems a strange way to seat somebody, but then I'm thinking if you've got a tie, if you've got something that's been declared a tie, how else do you break it?
You know, I would have been fine with the random drawing if it really had been a tie, but I won the recount fair and square, and I played by the rules. The rules in Virginia for recounts are very clear, but my opponent made an end run around those rules. So, yes, if we have to go to a random drawing, I think it'll be a very sad end to our story in Virginia.
Tell me about the stakes of this, because, again, you've got Ralph Northam, a Democrat who won that election. One of those issues that's paralyzed Virginia has been, does the state expand Medicaid under Obamacare? You had Republicans running the legislature with a Democratic governor the last 4 years. The Democratic governor wanted it, couldn't get it. If you guys get a piece of the legislature with you being seated, does that partial control, does that power-sharing agreement allow you to expand Medicaid?
Possibly. I hope so. And I really think that it'll be a positive thing for Virginia to have power sharing. It means that we're going to have to compromise and we're going to have to work together to get some things done. The way the system is right now in Virginia, many good ideas have died in these subcommittees that are controlled by the Republicans. So we're going to be able to get things out of subcommittee that have never been voted on in the House. And I'll give you an example. The Equal Rights Amendment has been stuck in the Privileges and Election Committee for a decade. We're going to be able to have a full and fair vote on that. The Equal Rights Amendment was something my grandmother was working on in the 1920s. So yes, the stakes are very high for all of